Hello, and welcome to episode 4 of That Dance Nerd Show.
I'm your host, Danielle Guillermo, and I'm here today with teacher and choreographer Stacey Raab. Today, we'll talk with Stacey, get to know her a little bit, and then hear her top 5 tips for making the most of your private dance class lessons. Welcome, Stacey.
Hi, thanks for having
Thanks
me.
for coming on the show today. Where and when did you start dancing?
I actually grew up in the Rochester, New York area, Brockport specifically. So I started dancing at Brockport School of Dance there. And then when I was about 13, I switched to a pre-professional school. It's now called Draper Center for Dance Education. I went there. After high school, I decided to pursue dance, and I went to Point Park College for a semester. I decided that it wasn't the right fit for me, and decided to. I actually was going to switch careers,
Wow.
but ended up not. Yeah, I was going to do athletic training, and just quit dance. But I happened to run into an old teacher of mine, and she said, "No way, you should come and join the modern dance program at SUNY Brockport." So that's what I did. So I kind of switched gears from that ballet bunhead background and got myself into modern dance and loved it. So then I finished my degree at Brockport, and then I moved to New York City to pursue dance and be a professional dancer.
Okay. So when you were living in New York or any place you may have traveled after that, what groups did you perform with?
I performed with Amanda Selwyn Dance Theater in New York City, and then a bunch of independent choreographers as well.
Okay.
I was in New York for about 3 years, and then I moved to the Baltimore area. So I was kind of in that Baltimore, DC dance scene. I danced with Jane Franklin Dance Company, The Collective in Baltimore. Next Reflex is in DC. Dissonance Dance Theater, also in DC. DC has a great dance scene, and I kind of just loved it when I got there, and was glad that I made the move. So
Okay. When did you start to explore choreography?
I did that actually when I was in Baltimore as well. When I did a little bit of choreography when I was in New York too, because there's a lot of programs that support choreographers in the city. So you could audition your choreography to be selected, and it was kind of the same thing in DC and Baltimore. So I was able to, actually when I was living in New York, I started showing work down in DC that was selected for shows, and then ended up doing a show, 2 different shows actually, with some other choreographers in Baltimore that we produced ourselves and had a great turnout, and it was an awesome experience. So.
Okay. Why did you become a choreographer?
I think it was just kind of a natural step for me, for having that ballet background and then also having the modern dance background, and kind of like merging that together to kind of express myself in that way and have my own style. I really enjoyed doing that. I think I had a little bit of a push from some great friends and coworkers to do it, which was good as well. But yeah, it was just I think just a natural step for me to kind of merge those 2 styles together and just have my own, be able to move how I want to move and not how someone's telling me to move. So
that's good. Now, okay, so we've talked about you as a dancer, then you as a choreographer. When did you begin to integrate teaching into your career?
So teaching, it was interesting. When I was in college, I was working at a dance supply store, and I remember it was just like a slow day, and I'm looking through the newspaper, and there was an ad for a dance teacher, and I thought, oh, I don't know if I could do that. I was 19 years old when I started teaching, so I was young. I don't know if I could do that. And I'm like, oh, what the heck? I should just try and put together a class. So I tried putting together a class, and I went for an interview, and and to teach a class. And it just kind of was natural for me. I had a really good mentor when I first started teaching, which also helped a lot. She was good at like helping me with breaking down, like how she would break down steps for younger dancers, or, you know, how to teach it, how to execute it, that kind of thing. And if I ever had questions of, I don't think I'm getting through to these guys, she would, you know, answer those questions for me and all that. So it kind of happened that way. And then I kept teaching through college. And then when I moved to the city, I taught for a while, and then I waitressed, and then I would go back to teaching. It was kind of just something I always did. So
one of the reasons that I've asked Stacey here today is to help us to maximize our time in private dance lessons. Stacey teaches private lessons, and she knows a thing or two about how to do it right. So here are 5 tips for how to make the most of your time in your private dance lesson. Tip number 1, what do you have for us?
So tip number 1 would be to choose your teacher carefully. So if you are at a school and you have a bunch of different teachers, you want to choose the teacher that pushes you the most, that gets the most out of you, that you have chemistry with. You don't want it to be someone that you're uncomfortable around or afraid of, or, you know, if you're really wanting to work on technique and ballet, you don't want to have the tap teacher teaching you your private lesson. And it can really make a huge difference of what you get out of the lesson. So it's important to choose carefully with your teacher.
Okay. Tip number 2, you have talk to your teacher about your goals. What can you tell us about that?
Yeah, so it's great to say that you want to improve. Everybody wants to improve, and if you have goals, you're going to improve, and if you're doing these private lessons, you're going to improve. But it's important to have specific goals. So if I'm teaching a student in class and they come to me and say, well, I want to do private lessons. Well, why do you want to do private lessons? What do you want to improve on? What do you think needs work? Because what I think might be different than what you are wanting to get out of it. You know, do you want to have faster petit allegro? Do you want it to be cleaner? Do you want to be able to do more than 2 pirouettes? You always fall after 2. Do you want your grande allegro to be more powerful, bigger? Or are you just looking for more strength and flexibility too? So it's, I think it's important to keep those lines of communication open with your teacher, so that they can help you reach those goals.
Sure.
And the goals can also change too. Like as you're going, you know, you might say, oh, well, maybe your pirouettes are off because of your alignment. So you work on the alignment first and then you move on to the pirouette. So that's why it's important to talk to your teacher about that, because they'll have some insight into it too.
Sounds good. And tip number 3.
Bring a notebook to your lesson. So even if you're not writing down notes during the lesson, because sometimes it's kind of awkward to be like, wait, hold on, I got to write this down when you're dancing. You want to write stuff down right after, because a lot of times you're not going to have that private again for a whole nother week, or depending on schedules and whatnot, it may even be longer than that. But you want to be able to hold on to those corrections so that you can apply them to your class and to your next private lesson. So if you're able to look back on that, it's going to be a good tool for you.
Good. Tip number 4, be prepared.
Yes, be prepared. So back to scheduling, I think that's one of the biggest struggles with private lessons, is just being able to find studio space, and then the teacher and the student's availability. So you want to be able to maximize all that time you have with your private lesson. You want to show up already dressed, hair up, ready to go, warmed up. Because if you come in and you haven't warmed up at all, you're going to spend most of your time getting warm before you can, go on and work on something else.
And that's a waste of your money.
Right.
Become prepared. And tip number 5.
Be consistent. So this one's a little bit tougher because private lessons can be costly. And then also back to that scheduling thing too. But if it's possible, you want to try and have your private lessons be consistent. So either once a week, twice a week. If you're kind of just doing them here or there, you're not going to get as much out of it as if you were doing it more on a more consistent basis.
Sure.
Kind of like if you're taking a technique class and you only show up once out of the month or something, then you're not going to progress as much as the rest of the class. So it's the same concept that you want to just make sure that that you're being consistent as much as you can be.
Right, absolutely. Well, so for today, we're putting 45 seconds on the clock for our rapid fire question round. All right, are you ready?
Okay.
Here's 45 seconds.
Ready.
And go. What's your favorite food?
Pizza.
Favorite word?
Favorite word?
Favorite?
I don't know. I pass.
Okay, favorite book?
Oh my gosh.
Favorite movie?
Favorite movie? Dirty Dancing.
Favorite ballet to watch?
Favorite ballet to watch? Alice in Wonderland.
Okay.
It's not a classic.
Favorite ballet that you've performed?
Gaiety Persian.
Okay. Best vacation you've ever taken?
Florida.
Okay. Thank you so much for joining us. If you'd like to know more about Stacey and her work, you can go to www.staceyrab.com. For more great episodes of That Dance Nerd Show, make sure to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and visit our website at mydancenerd.com. Dance Nerd, where you can wear your passion for dance. Have a great afternoon, and we'll see you later.
Bye. Thank you.